Hey everybody, it's Dave Dugdale, learningvideo.com. So I have these two clips side by side in my GH5 8-bit versus 10-bit video. And a lot of people ask me how I did this, where I basically recovered all the highlights. And basically what I was trying to do here is see if the 8-bit or in this case like the 10-bit would recover more in the highlights. But in this example, I didn't see any type of additional recovery in the highlights at all. Basically what I just did is I graded one, copied the grade over to the other one, and they look, to me, they look pretty much identical. So that was pretty much that. So a lot of people ask me how I did this. So here's the vlog footage. Let me bring the scopes in just to show you. As you can see, it's very flat, and you can see this hard clip line right here. That's indicating that the window right here. And basically when I had to make a judgment call when I exposed this, is there were actually some clouds right here. As you can see, there's nothing there right now. It's totally clipped. So there was no information there. So the dynamic range of the scene was greater than the GH5 with Vlog could actually handle. I could have actually recovered some of those clouds by lowering the exposure, but then I would start running into problems like this. Let me zoom into 100%. I think this is about close enough. You see the black shirt, you can see all that noise that's happening in the shirt. A lot of that noise is going to go away and it's going to be crushed like it is here. What this is right here is the standard picture profile, and this is not Vlog. And let me just disable this grade for a second. And you can see out the window, you can see how it's all blown out, which you would kind of think in the standard picture profile, which I had the contrast turned all the way down, which actually increases the dynamic range a little bit. But what I did here by adding this node is basically I just recovered the super whites. So you can definitely see there's information there. But if I go back to the previous clip, you can see there's a lot more information out the window. But again, you have to kind of like, how you can expose it. Do you want clean blacks or do you want additional clouds? And for me, I was wanting to more just get the exposure outside just enough where I could see the house, and I wasn't so much worried about the clouds because I didn't want to pay a heavy price on the shirt. So long-winded to get to this one point. So let me show you what I've got here. So here's the actually graded, this is the graded image that you guys saw, and you were wondering how I did the window. So let me show you. So if I go out of here, let's bring the scopes over here. Just minimize this a little bit. So what I've got is, I'm gonna actually move this down here so you can understand this a little bit better. There's this one node right here, that's the inside of the room. And basically, let me show you the curve. And that's the Vlog curve right there. You can see it's really steep. Vlog is way flatter than like S-Log. I added an additional node here to clean up the blacks. So I added noise reduction in the blacks. In fact, let's go ahead and zoom way in at 100% and watch the shirt. You can see there's not much dancing around at all. It looks pretty clean. But when I take off the noise reduction, watch the shirt again. So as you can see here, you can see there's a lot of noise going on in the black shirt. And you could fix that by adding noise reduction. All I did was add noise reduction in the blacks, or I basically qualified it, as you can see here. And then the last node, here, let me bring it down. This is always weird looking at yourself when you're grading, but when you're testing stuff, it's hard to find people to sit in for you. And basically here all I did is sharpened it just a tad. There's not sharpened, and that's sharpened just a tad. I don't want to sharpen over it too much because of my skin, and all the blemishes on my skin will stand out, so that's not a good thing. So finally, getting to the point where you want to answer the question, how did I do the window? Again, I'm doing this in Resolve, sorry, not Premiere Pro or Final Cut. And basically I did a layer mixer, as you can see here. And so think of it like After Effects, or think of it like Photoshop, where you're stacking layers. But something's really weird with Resolve is they put the layers node, the inputs in reverse. So you want to think about it kind of like this way. So I'm actually putting the window on top of the window right here. So let me just show you what I've got here. So if I turn on this, you can see the actual shape of the window. And what I did here is I brought the whites up so I could key it better. And I didn't really want to do too much around my shoulder. I didn't want to track it, and I didn't even have to track it because my shoulder is so dark and the outside of the window is so bright. So in terms of keying, it was quite easy. Let me show you the key. I basically turned off the hue and saturation, and I only turned on illuminance, and you could see the area that I was just keying was just mostly way in the highlights. And then all I did was grade the heck out of it. So in terms of the window, I could recover a lot of the information right there. So let me show you really quickly. That's the curve, what it looks like. Here, I'll flatten it out. See, that's what it looks like normally with Vlog. But remember, this is a layer over on top of the other layer. And if I bring it back, you can see that is a very steep curve. And then in terms of color, I had to do some stuff with hue versus hue in terms of bringing some of the yellows down. And I also had to change the white balance a little bit, because the white balance outside was different than the inside LEDs that I were using that are daylight balanced. But they're a little bit different, so I had to change the white balance there. And I also changed some saturation, depending on its hue, in terms of trying to bring that bush out a little bit more. So if I actually flatten this out, you can see the bush is not very saturated right there. And if I undo, you can see it brings some of that saturation back. So that's pretty much it. It's just basically a mask or a layer, however you want to think of a window, over right here. And what's, like I talked about before, even if I were to make this window, like, let me grab this part, on my shirt right here, you would think that this would be affecting my shirt. But it's not, because I did this node where I brought the whites up. So I didn't even have to track this area, because all I am is qualifying just the highlights. So it's a long-winded information, maybe more than you asked for, but a lot of people out were asking for that, and there you go. All right, and if you're interested about this kind of stuff, especially in Resolve, I have a color matching course in terms of matching like 2 different cameras, or even like the same camera shot on 2 different styles, which accidentally happens time to time. If you're interested in that type of course, I will put a link down below. And that's pretty much it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.